how like if you heard those people who when they say they go to Italy or then they drink wine and eat bread, they don't feel like as crappy as they do when they do eat it here.
I haven't heard that, but I believe it.
Yeah. So like Italy, it doesn't like quite sit in your stomach as much. The bread doesn't, and the wine, you don't get as bad of hangovers, all these sort of things. Well, that's because in America, they use pesticides on their crops. Oh, we got a doozy for you in this one. It's called folates. So it's actually basically going to help you live a longer life. If any of you guys want to live to the age of 120 like me, then stay tuned for this podcast. This is episode 54 of the podcast, bringing you the information that you need to hear, want to hear, and the information that you're going to hear anyways, if you stay tuned for the entirety of it, because this one's a good one. It's juicy, all right? This is the Riff Podcast. By the way, we're here every Monday and Friday, and we'll continue to be for eternity, at least until 125. So maybe not eternity.
All I'm saying is, if I was listening to podcasts, someone's like, you're going to hear it whether you like it or not, and clicking off just prove a point.
Really?
Yeah, there goes 50% of our attention numbers. Appreciate it, man.
That's facts. We challenged them. It's a good point. Good point. Well, hopefully you guys are still watching and you didn't accept the challenge because we'd like for you to listen.
Only the betas are still here.
Now, you lost another 50%. But no, so folates. All right. So basically, as I do when I'm working out, listen to podcast audiobooks, right? I don't know. Do you listen to, or do you just listen to music? Parker?
Yeah, I guess it depends. Like at the gym,
yeah,
really just music. But like, only time I listen to podcasts or audiobooks is when I'm like driving.
Okay. Well, I was at the gym. I don't really listen to music like ever, unless I'm like either want to be like really sad, or if pretty much that's it.
You want to be really sad?
Yeah. Yeah. If I want, because I'm motivated by negative influences. Like, I'm definitely a more negative driven person. Like, I want to get away from something instead of like going towards something. So so basically I get sad so I can be motivated to do more. Does that make sense? Like, so I put myself in these hard ass places where I'm like this sucks so bad that I got to get out of it.
Yeah, I guess I'm not motivated by sad. I'm more motivated by mad, I guess.
Well, the sadness makes me mad.
Fair.
You know, so then then it works. So that's the only time I listen to music. When I'm not listening to music, I'm listening to podcast audiobooks. One in particular that I've kind of gotten away from, but every once in a while I dive back into is Joe Rogan. All right. Hopefully, by the way, you guys are listening to this. Like, I don't know. We're not really a visual podcast. So we're out on Spotify now, right?
Yeah, like the first half of the episodes.
Yeah. So we'll be coming out for the rest of the half on Spotify. So you can actually listen to us while you're driving or while you're working out, whatever. So Joe Rogan is also another person who's on Spotify. And when I was listening, I used to listen like 2016, 2017, like religiously. Anytime he came one out 3 times a week, listen to that. Well, recently I've kind of gotten away from it just because sometimes when he brings on his comedians, I just don't really find interest in it because I honestly like learning more than I do like entertainment. So I'll pick and choose. Well, one of them came on was a guy that I know and was familiar with. He's like a biohacker. Parker, have you heard of this guy? It's Gary Brecka.
No, sir.
Gary Brecka. Okay, so I've heard of him because one of my friends from Miami has actually worked with him. Okay, this guy is the guy who. Did you ever hear the stuff about Dana White? How he almost died?
I don't think so.
So Dana White was I think a few years ago. He was literally on the verge of death, within a couple months or maybe years. But this guy, Gary Brecka, came in, and he's like a health guy. He was in the insurance industry for 20 years, and basically he would read medical reports when someone dies, and he would read them to see like why this guy died, to see if they need to pay them money or not. So this guy like had to analyze these reports to make sure that there wasn't some like crap in there where he poisoned himself to get insurance money or whatever it was, right? So he read like thousands and thousands of them. And while he read these, he started realizing like the reason why people would die. And he would figure out, so he would reason why, he would learn how they died. So then he could take that back and then understand how not to die.
What, doing like autopsies or something?
No. It's reports. So someone else does the autopsy on him, and then he just gets the paperwork and just reads the report.
Oh, okay.
So he gets numbers, he gets graphs, he gets charts, all this stuff. Comes to him, he reads it. He's like, after going through all the data and stuff, he's like, yeah, they need their insurance money. Or the family needs their life insurance money. Cool, they give it to him. Or they're like, actually, this guy like poisoned himself because for some reason, and this isn't normal. So he tried to cheat the system, and we can't give him insurance money, whatever. So he did that for 20 years. Well, when reading that, he determined how you can actually how you don't have to die, right? How you don't have to deteriorate as you live. And so now he does this business to where he's like, instead of, he got out of the insurance, he went and made his own, where he's like, you can actually extend your life. And so now he works with because obviously everyone wants to live longer, right? You want more
sounds like
time.
a scammer.
Okay. Well, so listen to this.
First impression.
His first impression, exactly. So listen to it. So he went on, he started going to celebrities or whatever, and basically doing a lab test, actually a gene test, in order to show how you basically how your body responds to different types of foods, all this kind of stuff, right? He went to Dana White and he did it, and he determined that Dana White was going to die in a few years, a few months, basically.
Wait, so was Dana already sick and he knew he was like...
No, it was blood pressure. So there's the two biggest health risks for human beings, at least in the United States. First being heart attack, second being cancer. Right? So the most people in the United States die by heart attack, second most is cancer. Right? So if you cover those, and that's like way majority. It's like 80% of the deaths in the whole United States are either one of those two. Right? So if you take care of those, then you got like other stuff. Then it starts going down into like actually doctors, like when people go into surgery, I think that's number 4.
Yeah, climate change got to be up there.
Climate change number 3.
Yeah.
I just didn't know how to say that. Yeah, that's number 3. Exactly. All that stuff, right? It's up there. But then it gets into like car crashes, gets into homicides, right? All those things. And so it's like, well, damn. If I just want to be like healthy, then like if I want to live until a car hits me, then I just got to make sure that I don't have cardiovascular failure or cancer. Right, those two things. And so the heart attack comes from, your blood vessels closing or your arteries closing, and then your heart not getting oxygen, right? So then, no.
I mean, I guess I was thinking like heart not getting blood, which I guess like oxygen's carrying the blood.
Yeah, I just skipped. Yeah, your heart doesn't get blood, the blood carries the oxygen.
I should know if you like said it on accident or if you were skipping the...
Yeah, I skipped it. But so that's so you get a heart attack, boom, now your brain doesn't get oxygen, boom, now you die. All right, so that's how you lose consciousness. That's how you're done. Toast. Finito. So what he determined is if you start fixing those things, if Dana White actually was about to have that happen to him. And so what he did is he ended up going on completely taking over his life and going on saying, yo, these are all the lab tests that we've done on you. This is all the data that we've got. You don't have much longer. And so if you want to have a little bit longer, then start doing these things. Start doing that. And over course of year and a half, he ended up reversing it. And now his life expectancy is like 20, 30 years more on top of what it was supposed to be. So, few things they talked about. I mean, do you still think it's a scam kind of deal? Or
No, so I was kind of. So did you say? So did he go and like survey him, I guess, and tell him like, "Hey, you're in trouble," or did an actual doctor tell him that?
No, yeah. So his company works with doctors to do lab tests. Because we tried to go to LabCorp the other day, and clearly you had to have a doctor.
I don't think, what if he's even a bigger scammer and went and told him, like, hey, you got 2 months when he's perfectly healthy, give him a few shots, and he's like, hey, you're good for 30 years now, pal. Don't even worry about it, I got you.
Because, I haven't gone to him, okay, so I can't
I think my title is he's a scam artist. I think that's the route we're going here.
I don't know. Joe Rogan brought him on, and homie was spitting game. And not only was he spitting game, he was spitting stuff that was like, oh, that makes so much more sense, right? So he talked about a lot of stuff. Big things that I wanted to kind of bring into this podcast and relay to our audience so you don't have to go listen, because I still haven't even finished it. It's 2.5 hour long podcast, and a lot of stuff, especially when it's that long, it's like, do we have enough time to do that? So real simple, easy to digest stuff. First thing is going to be folates, basically. So it's folic acids is what it's called. And these things are what you find in carbs. Okay? So you know how a lot of people say, like that one guy that we watched says, like keto is the best way to go, right? The reason why.
Saladino?
No, there's a Dr. Burgess.
Oh, I was about to say, because Saladino doesn't like keto, does he?
Yeah, doesn't like keto,
Okay,
but he likes refined carbs.
Yeah.
Or I eat apple, right? That sort of stuff. And the reason why, and this all makes sense to me, is because it's not like carbs are bad, right? It's not a bad thing. It's just like a lot of people don't work well on them. Well, if you go to Italy, you know how like if you heard those people who, when they say they go to Italy or they drink wine and eat bread, they don't feel like as crappy as they do when they do eat it here?
I haven't heard that, but I believe it.
Yeah. So like Italy, when they go do it over there, it doesn't like quite sit in your stomach as much. The bread doesn't, and the wine, you don't get as bad of hangovers, all these sort of things. Well, that's because in America, they use pesticides on their crops. Okay, this isn't allowed in Italy. They're not allowed. The government regulates this, where they can't use Roundup or any of that stuff, because what that does is it puts these folic acids into the plants, then into the wheat. Then when it gets chopped down and refined, that's in your bread, and that your body, 44% of people on Earth cannot process that, and it causes a lot of those underlying health conditions that relate to cardiac arrest and cancer, those two things. And so it's not, so then they can put it on the chart, they can say like whatever, this isn't going to lead to cancer. But when you break it down and you go down through the whole process, this one thing that is in there does. Like you've seen on the Roundup. Have you seen on the Roundup stuff how like people talk about that and they say like causes cancer?
For on crops and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that does, and that's proven, right? But like if you spray it on weeds and it kills the weeds, cool. Like you're killing the weeds.
Yeah.
But when you spray that with pesticides, or you spray that on the wheat, but the wheat is a GMO and it doesn't get killed by that Roundup, but it kills everything else, you're still getting that in your system.
Yeah. I wonder, who has the power? I mean, I guess it would be the whatever organization covers that stuff in our country. Who's the one that says Roundup can't be used, this can't be used? Because at the same time, you could look at we talked about in our video that goes on the main channel. We said or I said, I've heard artificial sweeteners cause cancer. A few years ago, that was a big thing, all over, and it was almost like a known fact because how popular it was that it was either Sweet and Low or one of those big ones. cause cancer. Even my mom, she's like, yeah, don't drink that anymore. I use this one or use that.
Yeah,
And I was like, and honestly, I didn't
Guys,
really believe it for
stevia.
sure, but I was like, why would I use it if there is a possibility it could? So I just stopped using it. So it's kind of like the same thing, like who says, like, or who's there to believe whether it causes cancer or not? I guess
That's the big thing. Is it's like, would you rather believe an organization, or would you rather believe a single person? Right. So that's what it comes down to, because I looked into it. Right. I ended up searching on my story today, and I posted on my story on Instagram. If you're not following there, I put a bunch of this stuff on there. The government website, I searched folic acid, right? It says that this is a supplement that is used for prenatal pregnancies, right? And it's supposedly supposed to help people.
Pre-what pregnancy?
Is it prenatal?
I don't know.
Or prenatal vitamin, I think is what it's called.
I don't even know what that
It's
means.
just it's like before you have your baby.
Oh,
It's like just pregnancy.
Pre-birth.
I think it's called prenatal vitamin. Sorry,
Okay.
but so they put this, and they recommend it for females to take while they have a baby. Well, and this may go off far path. First off, I don't care who you trust. You don't have to trust me. My recommendation, and what I'm going to be doing now, is going to be reducing as much folic acid as possible, or folic acid as possible, just so I'm going to be able to, like, not be in that risk of 44%, right? I would rather just not even risk that. That's almost half. Like, me or Parker is going to have that, right? So you or someone else is going to have that gene that's going to cause a lot of anxiety, a lot of non-motivation, lowering your hormones, reducing all these things, right? That causes a lot of that. And you find that in those pesticides and the Roundup stuff, right? All the weed killers and all that. So, you don't have to trust me. You don't listen to me. You can trust the government, because clearly, they're a good resource to trust, especially in these last 3-4 years with climate change and everything going on. Great. That's why I trust him so much. But this guy, he's actually helps extend the life for Joe Rogan, and he does. And his business is this: it's to help extend the lives of people all around the world, talking about seed oils and the harm on human beings with those processed foods, talking about how the United States allows for these pesticides and these things to be put on our food, like what's going to be our food, and they don't bat an eye, right? And so that organization, you then look, and why does that get passed through, right? Because if people are talking about, like, this is on Joe Rogan's podcast, right? So a lot of people listen to this. Why does our government let that go through? Well, you look and see why would this happen? There's a pharmaceutical industry that actually has a cure for that folic acid, right? Or has a supplement that you're allowed to intake that allows you to then not have any issues, right? So it's almost like there's someone that caused a problem, and sure enough, they have the cure for it, right? So you got to pay for the cure, and then you start looking into it. And it's like, well, why? Like, okay, they may have the cure, but that's just a coincidence. Like, they just have the cure, and the government's the one that allowed this. It's not them. Well, there's a thing called lobbyists. And one particular group has a lot of money, and that would be that industry. That industry has a lot of money to use because they get a lot of money from the money that they get from the solution, and then they help regulate the United States government. We'll let them have a little bit of money if you just pass this, if you make this go by, right? So then you wonder. Well, in Italy, they don't allow for pharmaceutical industries to talk on, like, any they can't advertise at all, right? They can't do any of that sort of stuff. And they also don't allow for pesticides to be put on their food. But the United States, on the other hand, it allows for that. It allows for both those things. So, is it for the good of the people, right? Is the government doing it for the good of the people because they really and truly want to save and protect and ensure that the lives of the people are best? Or is it because there's money involved, there's power?
Big Pharma W.
It's an ultimate W because it was released in 1993. Now you start looking and you think, well, social media and the digital products that are released came up, and the internet was released in the 1990s, right? And then the 2000s, and then depression has increased, anxiety has increased, ADHD, obesity, all these things have increased since that time. And it's because of social media. It's because of technology. But in 1993, government allowed for pesticides to be put on our crops, on all of our food resources, all the things that we eat. And we're ingesting that into our body daily. Not only that, they also put fluoride into the tap water, right? And so all these things end up coming together where it's like, what is reality? What is truth? What is it? Like you said, who can you trust?
Yeah, if we don't post another podcast after this, make sure people don't repeat what we said. Cause
Yeah. Well, you didn't say anything. It was me. It was me. Guys, we're just here to give you the information. If you want it or not, take it or leave it. This is kind of the stuff that I've seen. We're not reaching near as much as Joe Rogan is, so we're gonna see how he takes it. If he takes much heat from it. It's been out for a week or so, so I think it'll be okay. It's freedom of speech, right? We'll see. But if you liked it and you like the fact that, because I want to be more authentic, right? If you like the fact that we be authentic and that we're telling you how it is, no matter how it is, even if it may not help us out, hit that subscribe button, all right? Because that's the only way that we can reach you guys, is if you subscribe. Make sure to be coming back. We're going to be here every Monday and Friday. We'll ensure that we keep on doing that to get you guys the value that you need. Appreciate it. Take it easy. Talk to you in the next one. Peace.